Celeb Savant Barrett Edelstein. We're at Solid Gold Podcast in Randburg, Johannesburg, South Africa. And with me is Timothy Moloi.
Hey, Barrett, how are you?
I'm good, and you? It's been a little while. We've been saying, yes, we're going to do this, we're going to do this.
Yes.
Finally here in this moment.
Finally. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Let's rewind straight into the conversation. Yep. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you feel, cool, I want to be in this world? And how did that journey progress?
Well, you could say I was a very late bloomer. I think I was 21 when that switch went on. That when I thought, okay, I'm a performer. But I grew up in Soweto in Orlando East. My dad was a minister in the Baptist church. So music was pretty much a thing that we all did at home. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone sang. But I was very, very, very shy. I wouldn't even sing in front of my parents. And so much so that like people kept pushing me. And I went to study in the States in America, in Ohio. I ended up doing a degree in musical theater. And that's pretty much where I found myself. I found who I was. And I found my calling because I was sort of free of pressures of being, the son of a preacher man and all that stuff. But it was a wonderful journey of discovery. And 21 in Ohio, that's when I said, okay, this is for me.
So that click happened during, before, or after your degree?
During. Actually, earlier on.
Okay.
Complicated story. I actually had applied to study mechanical engineering, and my roommate fortuitously was doing musical theater, and he invited me to an open class, and that was me gone because in the States they call it a liberal arts education system, which means you can sort of design your own degree. I actually wish we had that here because at 18, you don't know what you want to do. So they give you an opportunity to explore everything, sciences, history, arts, dance, everything. And then in the second year, then you can decide what your focus is going to be. So I had a bit of time to sort of find myself, and I had enough time to sort of squeeze all my requirements in for musical theater. And yeah, the rest is history.
So did you stay in the States after that, or did you come back to South Africa?
When I graduated in May of 99, and then I did a work study a few months, because you can do a work study for experience. And I did a show at a place called Cedar Point, which is, in the summer they have these summer programs at Six Flags.
Yes.
Shows. So I did that, which was an eye-opener. And in the middle of that, a couple of buddies of mine, we went to Broadway to audition for different musicals. And that was another amazing experience because I did a few auditions. I don't remember what I was auditioning for, but I remember getting very positive response. That was sort of the nod of approval that I got to say, you know what? I made the right choice. And I came back to South Africa not long after that, because I was yearning to come back all the time I was there. I couldn't visit home. I supported myself. I had a scholarship, but I had to support myself. Yeah. But as soon as I was done in the States, I said, I'm back home.
No place like Johannesburg.
No place like
I also lived overseas. Anyway.
Yeah.
So you were still sort of doubting the choice once you finished, and those auditions in Broadway were like eye-openers, you said. So you were still surprised. Oh, the glue that put the puzzle together.
But you put your finger on it because, it's one thing to believe what you want to believe, to feel it's a calling. It's another when you audition for producers, directors, MDs, and they say you've got something. I remember there's one show that I think I went to about 4 rounds of auditions, and I couldn't go further because then I didn't have the paperwork because I wasn't going to work there. But for me, I had received more than I received everything I needed, because then different people saw my potential, professionals on Broadway.
Yeah.
And I was like, if they can see it, then I guess I need to believe in myself and believe that this is a calling, and I'm going to stick to this road that I'm on now.
It's interesting. Like, what does RuPaul say? If you don't love yourself, how can anyone?
How can anybody? Can I get an amen? No, those words are very true. It sounds very surface, but it really, the moment I started to believe in myself, literally all doors opened up, because as RuPaul says, if you don't believe in yourself, no one will believe in you.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to take the chances. You're not going to knock on doors. You're not going to go for it and take risks and challenge yourself.
There's another aspect of it that I also feel that a lot of people, yes, is that belief, but there's also fear in the sense that they are fearful of, now what happens if I do succeed?
Yeah.
And now that I'm there, what does that mean? Am I now accountable? Are people going to look at me? Is the spotlight going to be on me? So there's that element, but there's also another element that I feel that people self-sabotage themselves, whether consciously or unconsciously, could be both, because they're fearful of what does it now mean when I'm going to be in that success of the passion that I really want? Will I enjoy it, first of all? Will it be what I think in my brain it's going to be? And now will people start looking at me? And I think a lot of people are afraid of that.
Definitely. I think what happens, and I think it's with all of us, that little voice of doubt is always there. And when you start to succeed, that voice creeps in a little bit and says, but are you ready? But this is too big. Are you ready for it? But I think if you been through the journey that I've been on, because I came back to South Africa. I started out as a backing singer. My journey was very long, and it took me a while to really find my way. But for me, the journey that I've been on really helped me, because I went step by step. I grew slowly. People started to know who I am. And I think the longer it takes for you to make it in this industry, I find, at least in my situation, that's the best situation, because then you're mentally prepared, you're emotionally prepared, and whatever happens, whatever opportunities you get, you sort of use your experience to realize that, I'm doing the opening ceremony of the World Cup or Miss South Africa or this. But at the end of the day, you go home and you grow and you think, what have I learned from this experience? And that prepares you for other experiences that are going to come. So you have to really quieten that voice of doubt, because we can be our own saboteurs many times. But you just have to make sure that you are surrounded by people who believe in you, people who keep you honest, people who don't just tell you what you want to hear, and people where you want to get off of the stage and go home and live a normal life, eat a burger, watch TV. Do you know what I mean? You need to disassociate and disconnect, because sometimes if you take that work everywhere with you, it can mess with you a little bit.
In what way?
No, just if you get off the stage and you're on that high and you need it every time, then that's why you see many artists they fall by the wayside. I had a good friend of mine, the late Gloria Bosman. She gave me good advice. She said, when you are an artist industry, you need to choose your toys carefully. Meaning, when you are in your own private life, let it be the simple things that give you fulfillment. Going on a walk, going to a park, and just having a normal life. Because you can't, when you get off the stage and you've had these people screaming and shouting, you need to have that disconnect to say, okay, I'm leaving that there. And now I'm going home and I'm going to be a normal person, which, we all are.
Because that then it becomes that chasing of that feeling. And a lot of people, now it makes sense why a lot of artists start dabbling into various other things to try get that fix in a different way.
That high, and it has its place. And we are lucky when we have people who, we could do a show and you get that response, but you need to be able to go home and chill and disconnect from everything. And I find, for me, whatever people see on stage is a small percentage of the whole process. So at home, you're preparing, you're doing vocal exercises, you're learning music, you are enriching yourself in many ways. And so that when you go on stage, that's the end result of the whole process, which many people are not, they don't see. They just think, oh, you go on stage and you sing, you have fun, and that's it. But they don't realize that you may have heard maybe bad news, someone may have hurt you, something might have happened. But as soon as that music starts, put on that makeup, put on that happy face, you smile and you go on stage. And that's the challenge of being an artist, is that we are there to entertain, we're creating a world of make-believe. But we need to make sure that we don't believe our own PR. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
This is very fascinating. So it's making, and that's why I think a lot of people put artists separate to them.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's that person.
Yeah.
My thing is that we all use 2-ply or 3-ply toilet paper. No one's got gold-plated toilet paper.
Exactly.
Because in their backside will be very sore.
Exactly.
So the same way I interact with you is the same way I interact with Brennan, who's helping us with the sound. The way I speak to the lady at the checkers counter, everyone for me is equal. But I've noticed a lot when I'm at concerts or events, when people or fans, the artists are like, they put them up there because you've just helped me realize it's because you're helping them create a world in their mind that's away from their normal reality and their perceived normal in inverted commas normal life.
Yeah, and I think that exists in all sorts of walks of life. You know, that people who in a company, when that director comes, they're deferential. But when they see the cleaning lady, then they don't, they don't regard how they feel. And for me, I feel we are all the same.
Yes.
If I'm on stage and someone is, the usher or someone is selling drinks outside, we are all doing the same thing. And obviously they're not on stage in lights, but we're all working. We are all doing what we can to support ourselves, to support our families, and that's we're all the same. And I really do believe in treating everybody the same.
Equal, yeah.
Because just because someone is not in a position that you think, oh, they're not a director, you just don't know how influential they might be, because life is a spider's web.
Yes.
And you don't know how people are connected. And so the good thing to do is just to respect everybody. And I find that what goes around comes around. When you give that respect, you will get that respect and love from everybody else.
And gratitude, etc.
Gratitude and being grateful for everything and not taking anything for granted.
Hashtag drop the mics, but we're not going to do that because we're busy.
We don't want to break the expensive mic.
So, Timothy, what do you enjoy about performing live?
That's a big question. What I love about performing live is when you're on stage live, there is no other feeling in the world. You could be doing the same concert, the same show, but each show, each performance is unique. It's different. Nothing is ever the same. And I love that there's that sense of danger, that sense of excitement that anything can happen. And for me, that adrenaline that pumps when you hear the audience applaud and when you hear the band start a piece of music, there is nothing that beats it, because it's a moment that you share with the audience, is a moment of truth, and it's a moment of self-discovery as well, because many times we grow as artists from what we give to people and the feedback they give us. Someone will say, I got this from that song. Sometimes you'll sing maybe an up-tempo song and someone will come to you and say, I heard a different meaning of that song.
Yeah.
It moved me in a different way, or it reminds me of my mom or my grandfather. And it's so special. The concept of being on stage is something I treasure and I appreciate, because you are, as much as you are fulfilling yourself, you are helping and fulfilling other people, and you are spreading light, you're spreading joy. And in this world that we're living in, that little moment of joy is very precious.
You performing on stage, obviously the audience is there for that, but maybe something goes wrong that the audience doesn't know.
Yeah.
There may be a technical something or whatever, but the audience doesn't know any of this. How do you personally, from your experience, and I'm going to say ego, because it is ego. How does Timothy ego step out of the way and know that, okay, all this nonsense is going in the background, I need to just step up. Because the audience don't know.
And sometimes they do. Because a light falls or something happens.
That's obvious. That's very obvious.
We hope that never happens.
Yes.
But anything can happen on stage. And as I say, if you're on stage, like with a band, like I'm going to be, next week, you realize that we are all having the same feeling, the same anxieties, excitement, and we are all, being on stage, you could say it's dangerous, but we enjoy and we embrace that danger because it fulfills us. It gives us that adrenaline. And it's interesting to see how how one deals with all those things that happen on stage. But they say it's not how you mess up. They say it's how you recover.
Yeah.
And with experience, I find that you're able to find ways to just pick up from where you left off and continue with your performance. And sometimes, like when you fall or when something happens, sometimes it's those experiences that people remember. That remember when this happened in the show. It makes that experience very thrilling and very electrifying. And it's there's no better feeling in the world.
When those situations happen, and obviously the more the audience is aware, does that voice of little doubt that you mentioned earlier coming through and start criticizing and judging, or have you learned to shut that voice out in these situations?
I have fortunately learned to shut that out.
Okay,
and good. For me, the trick is one thing: preparation. If you are prepared, you are ready for anything. And for me, when I go on stage, I want to know that I know the music, I know the arrangements, I know what it means to me. And this why when you're on stage, you are conveying a message and you are sort of a conduit for something higher than you. I don't believe in any hoo-ha things, but I do believe that, you can be a conduit for light, for positivity, for joy. And I love that thrill of the unknown. But if you're prepared, literally anything can happen and you're able to deal with it, quickly and in the best way possible. And sometimes it can actually even, increase your adrenaline or the adrenaline of the people watching. And it's there's nothing that can beat live.
I think it's also about acknowledging that situation.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to show or ignore that it happened and carrying on, because the audience are they'll pick it up as they saw it.
Yeah.
And so oh, this happened, haha. You get what I'm trying to say.
And audiences are clever than many times we give them credit. Sometimes they may not even be able to put a word to something that they saw or heard
or felt,
but they know that it made them feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And so they're clever and they know what's going on and you can't fool them. But many times I get feedback from audiences that say, tonight you sang that note like that and it just made my day. And it's that feedback is what keeps us going. We get the thrill from it and it keeps each show fresh. And as I say, that danger, that thrill, that electricity is beautiful. And that's why audiences come to a show and support, because they're excited to see what's going to happen, how's everything going to go. And they're part of that process as well, because they go on that journey with you as well on stage.
We'll get to Swingin Las Vegas shortly, which is a show of renditions of different types of songs. And I've seen you in those type of shows previously. Do you ever record your own original music?
I have recorded my own original music. I have been nominated for some awards. I've released some music. I had a song that I released about a year and a half ago called Love Is Never Blind. People have been responding positively to that. And so I do release new music. I write new music. And my fans have been pushing me, saying we need new music soon. So I will definitely pull my socks and get something prepared for that.
because you're busy a lot with these other types of shows with Swingin Las Vegas, and this, I'm trying to think of the correct words to say with this question. Does that sometimes bring in a little bit of procrastination or laziness around releasing original stuff because you're busy with all this other stuff, which maybe might, not laziness, let's take that word out, maybe procrastination or distraction, because you've got all these other types of shows that you are working on, and it takes you away from that tunnel vision of creativity for original, or not necessarily?
The touch of truth in that when many times when we have to do our own projects, many times sort of those take a little backseat to the opportunities that we get. And so you've hit something there, but it's a challenge every day to make sure that you live a fulfilling life. You are fulfilled. You're fulfilling your purpose. And I have been extremely fortunate with the opportunities I've gotten. But I do feel like everything happens in its own time.
Okay.
And I do believe everything sort of has a time and place. So I do believe that, everything happens sort of, in its own time.
What's the difference for you performing your original music compared to when you're performing other artists' music?
That's a very good question. I think with other artists' music, I think sometimes it's easier to interpret because you're finding your own interpretation. You're finding your own way of doing it. When it's your own song, sometimes you can feel exposed, almost naked.
That's so interesting.
But it's part of the whole process because then some other people maybe perform your songs and then you see their take on your music. So I guess that would be the main difference, is that with other music, I'm not as self-conscious about the lyrics or the lyric content or the arrangement. But when it's your music, because we, as artists, we can never stop criticizing. I should have sang this line like that. I should have written that line like that.
A little voice.
Yeah. But it's good. I love that, that feeling of sharing something you've written, something that you were inspired to write. And when you see it move other people as well, that's another special feeling that nothing can really compare to, because then something that came from the depths of your soul or from your suffering or from something you've experienced is then helping somebody deal with whatever they're dealing with. So that can be quite powerful, and I really enjoy that.
So you mentioned the movements and that, but I find a lot of people these days, they have, because of the speed of everything, and their attention spans getting shorter and smaller, that music is sort of in the background, in the periphery. They don't even hear the words. I speak to so many people and I say to them, do you actually know what that song's about? I'm like, no idea, I just enjoy it. And I tell them that's what, and they're shocked. I'm like, oh, I didn't think it would be about that. So I guess that the point I'm trying to make is that the people who need to be moved and hear what needs to be heard will be open to it. But I think these days, it may be a little bit more challenging to reach them because of all the filters that are there with phones, with digital, with distractions. It's a little bit more to get that to move them. But then again, that's the receiver's choice. Yeah.
And I agree with you. And I find people with all this noise and everything happening, it's amazing because people, what ends up happening is that people seek us or seek the music that they like. So what happens is that people will say, on Spotify, said, I heard this song that you released 10 years ago and I only heard it today. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. And the emotion sometimes behind music. That's why, we say music is an international language. Sometimes you don't even have to understand the words of the song for it to move you in a certain way. Music is very, very, very powerful. But people are able to seek what they need and seek the music that they want. But as I say, music is so powerful that you may not understand what the words are. You may not even know what the song means. but you can connect to the essence of music. You know, you can get, if you need a song to be soothing, to be calming, you can find that music. And so sometimes what the song actually means lyrically or in terms of the content of it, sometimes is not so important all the time, as long as you can connect to the essence of it and you can be moved in some way or form.
Swingin Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Well, Swingin Las Vegas. Last year we did a show called Swingin Las Vegas, and it blew us away. I shared the stage with Craig Abani, Aristoteropoulos, and we had Corlia, who was features female singer, and the Johannesburg Big Band. This year it's the...
Wait, so last year was the first one?
Yeah, last year was the first one.
Oh, okay. I thought there had been previous
No,
years.
that was the first iteration of the show.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
It blew our minds. It sold so well. It's actually a few performances were sold out. People loved it. I met a lot of people who sort of woke up too late and they couldn't find tickets and they were so upset. And since the show happened and the response we got was so amazing, I've been going to so many performances, shows. Wherever I go, people have been saying, "Are you going to bring that show back? Are you going to bring that show back?" And so I am thrilled that we are back this year with Nadine, the fantastic, wonderful Nadine. Harry Sideropoulos is back. Craig Abani, the amazing entertainer, and the 18-piece strong Johannesburg Big Band. And I am so excited to take people on that journey of all the artists who made Las Vegas, Vegas, you know, the Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole. I mean, many people, when they think Las Vegas, they think Elvis, but they don't realize maybe sometimes that Las Vegas is such an iconic space that people that we're going to pay tribute to in the show are people who've been to Las Vegas. Celine Dion, Lady Gaga, Robbie Williams, Lionel Richie. And so it's a journey through time. It's a journey of music that, we know, music is the fabric of our lives, and we know where we were when we heard certain songs. So in this show, we go all the way back to the Red Peg days, to Lionel Richie, who was there a few years ago, and people can just enjoy this amazing music, these standards sung by the likes of Ella Fitzgerald, Bobby Darin, you name it, we're doing it. And people love these songs because they are sort of evergreen songs like Unforgettable, songs like Something Stupid, songs like Lionel Richie, All Night Long. Imagine hearing that song given the big band treatment. So I'm loving the whole idea of taking this music, and we're on stage with, as I say, 18-piece strong Joburg Big Band. Every musician on that stage is a soloist in their own right. They've won awards, they've been nominated for awards, and to be on that stage is such an honor. And that feeling, that excitement, that energy that I felt last year, we did 8 performances as well, and they went like that. And so I'm excited to be doing the show. It's all new music, but we're taking people on that nostalgic journey and giving them the songs that they have grown to love, and the songs that have become the fabric of our lives. And yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
It's interesting because in the 60s, I'd say 50s or 60s, 70s-ish, when artists performed at Las Vegas, it was like a residency like it is now. But then late 70s, 80s, 90s, if you're an artist performing in Las Vegas, you're a has-been, that type of label. And I think if I'm to be corrected, audience and listeners, I'm not sure if maybe Celine Dion was one of the ones that opened that up to become trendy. Not that, it has been that's been in the industry is now trying to sell tickets now goes to Las Vegas. Yeah. But now it's not Lady Gaga, Adele, all these people, Kylie, they're all doing these residencies.
Celine had that theater built just for her.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yes.
That it was built around her show. And obviously she was at the height of her fame and success. And
So I think she changed the mindset of
she definitely did.
shows in Las Vegas.
She definitely did. Las
started.
Vegas then became a vehicle. It's like you haven't been, you're not an true artist until you've been to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's one of those bucket list things, but Celine definitely played a big role. And, right now, I mean, it's literally, you look at, just Google anyone who's ever been on Las Vegas and you'll be surprised, because literally whatever genre you like, whatever music, jazz, pop, R&B, soul, you name it, they have been on Las Vegas. And I'm so looking forward to singing some of my favorite songs by some of my favorite artists as well.
I love this game. I know if I had to ask you this question in 2 years, 10 minutes, 5 hours, I know your answer will be different every time. Mm-hmm. I recognize that and I understand that. I'm not saying favorite.
Yeah.
I'm saying top of mind, as I said. If you had to push play to 5 artists once we finish this conversation, and if you can think of specific songs from those artists, if not, who would the artists be of those 5? What artists or bands? And if you can think of songs, what would those songs be?
That is so broad. That is so wide.
Just first 5 that are this one, this one, this one, this one.
Michael Bublé, Sway, which we're doing in the show, by the way.
Okay. Don't give too many.
Yes. I don't want to give anything away.
Yes.
And, but some of the artists that have just been very influential in my life, Whitney Houston.
Okay.
The Greatest Love of All.
Okay.
That song, the first time I heard that song, I think I was a teenager, and it spoke to me because it literally was about that self-belief, that quietening of that little voice of doubt. And, Luther Vandross is another one of my big, icons. Nat King Cole was how I actually sort of discovered the world of jazz and big band. Nat King Cole and his daughter Natalie Cole.
Oh yes.
They are some of the biggest, artists in the world. And when Natalie Cole did Unforgettable,
yes,
with using the recordings of Nat King Cole, it was quite groundbreaking at the time. To take a recording of someone who was no longer alive, and then to refresh it and to do a new arrangement. And I mean, that song, that album, I think it was called Unforgettable with Love.
Exactly.
That was a multi-Grammy award winning album.
Yes, one, I think it went Grammy Album of the Year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it changed the landscape. And you think of people like Robbie Williams as well, who has been very key in keeping this big band sound fresh and alive. We know when he did that show at the Royal Albert Hall, and he did that show with the big band. It was a risk because many people were not doing it at the time, but we're still singing those songs because those songs never go out of style. And
that was the beginning of the 2000s somewhere. And I remember at the time it was the biggest selling album of the year in the UK.
It was.
And in some areas of Europe and so
on. And it was a risk.
Yeah.
There was no guarantee that it was going to take the way it took. And it's, those are just a handful of some of my artists, the artists that I love. But I love listening to everything, classical, old, rap, rock. Maybe not so much rap, but I love listening to so many other different genres of music. I find if you're a singer or an artist, it's an important thing to be able to listen to a whole lot of different things, because then you're enriching your own artistry. Yeah. Because then you're drawing from so many different places. That's definitely my process.
So, Timothy, the podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message, what would you like to say?
What I would like to say is thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you for supporting us, supporting Swingin Las Vegas, which is going to be on at the Teatro in Monte from the 16th to the 25th of May.
2025.
Only 8 shows.
Yes.
You can book through web tickets, and tickets are going fast. And you don't want to be one of those people. Like last year, I met a lot of people who woke up too late and they were like, there are no tickets. So make sure that you book, you come see our show. And I really want to say particularly to young people, because there is just so much negativity out there, Twitter, social media, one can feel overwhelmed. And the one thing that I can say is just quieten all those voices of doubt, believe in yourself. Find a little group of people who can believe in you, and seize the day. Carpe diem. Make the most of everything. Don't take anything for granted, and just take time to enjoy all the things we've been given. Health, life, family. Many times we can just go on and on and on and complain about, the things, our problems. But my challenge to everyone, because it's a challenge to myself, is to just seize the day, make the most of every opportunity, enjoy life, live fully. That would be it.
So guys, as Timothy says, seize the day, carpe diem.
Yes.
Carpe diem. Correct pronunciation. Enjoy life. Go get your tickets for Swingin Las Vegas. So maybe there'll be a third iteration in 2026. Who knows?
Who knows?
And this is Celeb Savant signing out.
Another production from Solid Gold Podcasts.